breath. Maybe we need a jingle.
What'd you have in mind?
I don't know yet.
Well, if you're thinking something, come knock on my door.
Come and knock on my door.
If you're 64.
News 12, voted best weather coverage by the Georgia Association of Broadcasters. 6 o'clock.
Richmond County Sheriff Richard Roundtree speaking out today about that shootout between two motorcycle clubs that left two people dead over the weekend.
10 firearms were recovered from either inside the clubhouse or of the vehicle or at nearby businesses where the suspect had tossed them while they were fleeing. Over 100.
And the 10 faces behind us are all behind bars, facing 2 counts of murder. 4 suspects are part of the Outcast Motorcycle Club, 8 from the Thug Riders Club. 2 more suspects will be charged with murder once they're released from the hospital.
The sheriff's office says Saturday's gunfire started with a separate incident down in Florida. Then they say members of the Thug Riders came to Augusta to try and retaliate against the Outcast Motorcycle Group. Today, the sheriff also talked about the possibility of another shootout. Wrdw has been looking into that.
Yeah, the sheriff's office has been working with several agencies in the state and even outside of the state to get a handle on this situation. We know the sheriff's office says that there was a plan by both groups to retaliate later after the shooting in Augusta. Now, the sheriff's office says that they're prepared this time if things escalate. It was a flurry of sirens and an army of deputies on East Boundary Street after reports of shots fired rang out.
The way it was spread out and the shell casings were scattered within a block radius all throughout the grass, throughout the street. So immediately when you get there, you see the carnage what happened.
Details are slowly coming into focus as shell casings litter the street in front of the Outcast Motorcycle Club.
This was a targeted attack. This was a coordinated attack from individuals who came way as far as Florida, Valdosta.
The sheriff says this shooting is retaliation stemming from an incident in Florida between the Outcast Motorcycle Club and the Thug Riders Club. Members of the Thug Rider Club showed up at a cookout being held at the Outcast Club headquarters. Sheriff Roundtree noted more than 150 shots were fired between the two groups.
You're talking about traveling 3-4 hours to come to Augusta armed to engage in gun violence.
Later that evening, investigators say word spread that both groups had regional affiliates gearing up for another attack in the area. They're working with statewide agencies to prepare and monitor this ongoing situation.
To bring this type of violence to our city, to add us to a national mass shooting list, is unconscionable.
Now, the sheriff's office says this is obviously an ongoing investigation. There were 10 firearms recovered from the scene, including 13 motorcycles. Those were at the clubhouse. As far as the ongoing threat of retaliation in that attack, they're monitoring the situation. We'll, of course, keep you updated with all of this.
Must have sounded like a war zone out there. Will, thank you for that. Sheriff Roundtree also confirming for us an Augusta Fire Department SUV actually ran over one of the victims' bodies there on the scene. They've been identified as 51-year-old Jermaine Farrell. The sheriff says the driver did not see Farrell's body. He says Farrell was pronounced dead before what he calls this freak accident. We did reach out to Augusta Fire for a comment, and Chief Burden says they're not able to comment at this time due to this investigation.
Saturday's shooting also calls into question the city's plan for mass shootings.
Craig Allison talked to city leaders about the possibility of an active shooter plan.
12 people arrested and charged, but the Richmond County Sheriff's Office is now on alert for the potential of another mass shooting, all stemming from Saturday's incident here at the Outcast Biker Club.
Our communities are not the Wild Wild West. You know, it's not an unsafe place to be.
Even before this weekend's mass shooting, Augusta commissioners were already on track to approve new security plans to prep for active shooter situations.
But it just really disturbs me that we're even having to have a conversation about how to respond to mass shootings in our communities when we're telling folks to come to Augusta, live in Augusta, play in Augusta, and certainly Augusta's worth all of those things.
It's called the ASHER program. It stands for Standard for an Active Shooter Event Response. With support from the Sheriff's Office and Fire Department, it gives citywide training recommendations to departments across the city and is already used statewide in Massachusetts, but we'd be the first in Georgia.
So we had many resources out. We didn't have the information. We didn't know that trouble was coming to our city. We didn't know trouble was already in our city, because had we known, we very well could have intervened while they were at May Park, had we known.
With the new system, a hope to be as proactive as they can.
Like I said, we do have 37 protocols. We've done major events here, so this is not nothing new to us. The advantage that we have is that we are aware of it.
And the active shooter plan is expected to pass tomorrow in Augusta City's consent agenda. But for the time being, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office is still on alert for the potential of another mass shooting. In Augusta, Craig Allison, on your side.
And Saturday's mass shooting unfortunately puts our area on the map again for a mass shooting. This is the National Gun Violence Archive for mass shootings, and it's going to let me zoom in a little closer. Oh, it won't let me do that. But so far in the U.S., as you can see, scattered across this map, there have been 224 this year, 21 of those mass murders, so with victims and fatalities. This shooting comes just 12 days after the one in Midtown Atlanta. And last Wednesday, Georgia Democrats called on Governor Kemp to declare a special session to consider laws aimed at protecting Georgians from being shot. Georgia Democrats also filed 16 bills aimed at addressing gun violence in this past session, but not one of them came to a vote. Lawmakers are not set to return to the Capitol again until January. Governor Kemp's office also did not respond to the request for that special session.
Well, weather-wise today, it ended up being a week's forecast in just about 10 minutes.
A North Augusta man arrested on suspicion of child abuse after a 4-month-old was admitted to an Atlanta hospital. Daryl Timpson arrested Friday. North Augusta Public Safety says a social worker from an Atlanta hospital let them know about the incident after the child was transferred from an Augusta hospital. The child suffered 3 rib fractures and a type of blood clot that puts pressure on the brain. Timpson's bond set at $60,000.
Mercy Ministries has closed its doors in Augusta. All of this stems from an Augusta fire marshal visit on May 1st. They cite issues with blocked emergency doors, broken locks, ceiling tiles, and much more. But for years, we've covered issues at this building with a lot of previous code enforcement issues, even a deadly stabbing there.
Before closing up shop, Mercy Ministries says they fed and housed people every week. Our Nick Veland breaks down the issues there.
At the beginning of May, the Augusta Fire Department inspected Mercy Ministries behind me. After multiple violations were found, they were shut down. Inoperable smoke detectors, exit signs, and emergency lights. Exposed wires, missing and damaged ceiling tiles. All within these walls at Mercy Ministries on Broad Street. Wayne Jordan with Mercy Ministries responded to these violations.
You work with your resources with what you have, on that issue. We try to do a little bit by little bit, but it's like everybody looks for the bad instead of the good.
After the inspection, Mercy Ministries was told no one is allowed to stay overnight and violations would have to be corrected within 2 weeks, which is today. So far, they say that they haven't made the fixes and are packing up.
And when you're trying to shut down a place where it's trying to help people, then you're doing worse than you're doing any good. That's what I say about the code enforcement.
Mercy Ministries says that there are 30 to 40 people a day coming to the building, and they would house those on a day-to-day basis. The fire marshal's report says that they offered overnight stays due to nowhere else being available. The Salvation Army says that since Mercy Ministries closed, they've seen an uptick of 30 more people coming to get services daily. They say they never turned away those in the past, but would refer those to other agencies if they weren't able to stay there. The Salvation Army has a limit of up to 90 days of staying in the shelter a year without casework. Now, with loosened regulations, those who have maxed out will have 10 additional days to find casework to give those a second chance. Mercy Ministries doesn't know what's next or what's to come in the future, but right now they tell me that they are shut down and closed to the public. In Augusta, Nick Veland on your side.
The Salvation Army also tells us they're allowing those back with the exception of violent offenders and sex offenders. Those cannot stay at the shelter. And now with more in the shelter, they're wanting to be as safe as they can moving forward.
And the suspect we told you about involved in that deadly shooting is scheduled to be in court this week. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office says Remos Lovett is accused of stabbing another man multiple times in the chest and arm. He's facing 1 count of aggravated assault and is still in jail. His sentencing is set for this Wednesday.
After the break, we meet a master craftsman who's showing his students how to build and play their own instruments.
And we do look to stay dry the rest of this evening tonight, but storm chances will be with us over the next few days. We'll have a look at the full forecast just after the break. done. Rock, and it'll be much cooler than average for highs Thursday and Friday.
Riley, thanks a lot. A lot of people enjoy playing an instrument, but have you ever thought about making one for yourself? Maria Sellers stopped by a local business hoping to teach you how to do both.
We're here to be a community hub for people to find music and find joy.
For Nathaniel Bruner and Jonathan Clark, joy comes through playing violin.
I fell in love with the violin watching my grandma play. So she lived with us growing up, and when I was 2, I wanted to play violin like grandma.
I started playing violin when I was 8 years old, and I kind of just picked it up naturally, and I really loved it growing up.
But they really find the music through building and repairing them.
It's a tradition, and it's something that has been carried down for hundreds of years, and it's still being done the same way.
Clark spent time working with a craftsman in Colombia, learning how to make them. Now he's sharing the skill.
I just wanted to make the opportunity available for local Augustans who wanted to learn and kind of just share the tradition of violin making.
Bruner was Clark's first student.
Getting them up and singing again is really the passion that got us started.
They both passed on the knowledge to Audrey, who was interested after getting one that needed repairs.
There's a lot of hard work that's put into it, but it is rewarding.
Clark says he's hopeful restoration will be rewarding for everyone who learns.
It's almost like leaving a legacy, and it's creating something that can be passed down through generations that your children and grandchildren can enjoy, can even play.
Whether it's playing the instrument or creating it,
The 3 of us just love to help people find their passion.
in Augusta, Maria Sellers on your side.
And they're doing beautiful work over there. They hope to start teaching how to make violins this summer, and they encourage anyone interested in learning to play the violin, come in, give it a try for free before you sign up for those lessons.
AU's women's golf is about to make history. After the break, we're live at their send-off celebrations.
First alert prepare.
AU women's golf days away from competing for a national championship for the very first time.
The team heading to Arizona for this big tournament, and what better way to send them off than with a party?
Alyssa Lige joins us down the street at Bodega. So, Alyssa, what's the energy like over there in Surrey Center?
It is absolutely incredible here. The excitement is just building. Everybody's getting ready to send this team off to Scottsdale. Hey, they finished 5th in the Athens Regional, which put them in a good position to head to the national championship for the first time ever. They finished 4 strokes behind 4th place finisher Ole Miss in order to do so. Not only is it a first for the program, it is a first for head coach Caroline. 8 years it took you to get to this point. You set out for history and you made it. How does it feel to you?
It feels great. Obviously, right now we're just really focused on the moment and what we got to take care of. We're not done. We're gonna enjoy it, but we've got to go take care of business in Arizona.
Just as you should. You know, in order to get here, you had to go through some of those bumps. Fall was a big bump. You guys are actually ranked in the 150s. So what did it take to get to you?
You know, we were a different team in the fall. We've added 2 players since then, Victoria Zhang and Mirabelle Ting. Mirabelle's ranked in the top 10 in the country right now, just playing the spring season. But also, I think the coolest thing is if you look at our other players on our team, everyone's stroke averages have improved exponentially since the spring season started. And they are just such a great group of girls. Love them to death. And this is all a testament to their improvement and the work they've done.
You know, what was that real deal moment for you when you thought, oh, we can actually do this thing?
About the 18th hole of Athens when we took care of business and we're doing it. But I mean, they've played well all spring. They've fought hard. They've worked their butts off, and I'm just so proud of them and what they've accomplished. 4 of these 6 girls are freshmen, so the future is bright, and we're gonna work hard for Augusta in Arizona.
Well, congratulations, Coach. Congratulations to all of you. We'll send it back.
All right, looking forward to following their journey. We wish them well. But for now, let's send things over to Dan.
On your